Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here, and have I got a report to share with you guys today, and that is this. The Pope, the Rockefeller Foundation, the Rothschilds, the United Nations, and even globalist bankers from all across the globe have now come together and formed a new initiative that basically promotes the idea for them to push more sustainable development, Agenda 21, Agenda 2030 policies, not to mention redistributing wealth across boundaries and social justice style policies like equal opportunity, equal outcomes, all these things that lead in direction of socialism and communism. But don't worry, it's got a pretty little name and it's called inclusive capitalism. Is there even, really? Let's just repackage socialism under a brand new name to make it a little bit more appealing to the masses. But this is exactly what I'm about to show you. And it's scary thinking this is coming from, the Rothschilds and Rockefellers of the world. But before I get into that, just want to give a quick shout out to my partner at backupsolarbank.com. If you guys have not seen one of these, I have one here. Basically what it does is it charges your cell phone wherever you're at. And this thing is, by the way, also charged by the sun. So it's a solar powered device that you can take with you anywhere and charge your phone. And the great news about it is right now you can get it for 20% off using the code HAVEN20. So get yours today for your family and loved ones for this Christmas holiday season at backupsolarbank.com. All right, so let's move on a little bit into this, inclusive capitalism being pushed by these globalists. We'll take a look at this article on kpvi.com. The Council for Inclusive Capitalism with the Vatican, a new alliance of global business leaders, launches today. And this was published December 7th, 2020. But let's go on over to this little Pact initiative or whatever they want to call it. But here we are. Council for Inclusive Capitalism with the Vatican. Making the world fairer, more inclusive, and sustainable. Why don't you join the global movement with other CEOs, leaders, and individuals transforming our economies and societies? But it goes on. Here's what kind of their overall agenda is here. The Council for Inclusive Capitalism is a movement of the world's business and public sector leaders who are working to build a more inclusive, sustainable, and trusted economic system that addresses the needs of our people and planet. Please keep in mind that they always sell you Orwellian dictatorship policies under the banner of something that sounds amazing, because these people have always been trusted, right? Not like your globalist bankers and all these globalist organizations. They've always been about the good of mankind. I can't say personally that I think that's the case, nor with the Rothschilds and Rockefellers name on there. But hey, I digress. Capitalism, they says, has lifted billions of people out of poverty. I agree. It really has. But, they go on, many in society have been left behind and the planet has had to pay a price. Wait. There is a moral imperative to address the challenge, and we are taking actions. Our members undertake measurable commitments to help create, and here's what they're creating: equality of opportunity. Sounds beautiful on the surface. Equitable outcomes, you mean like socialized, spreading the wealth around? Yeah. Fairness across generations to make sure every generation has the same policies, and fairness to all, enabling full economic participation. You mean like a global reset button that they're trying to push right now, where they completely reset our economic system in like cashless society kind of style stuff, or even a one world currency? Is that what you're talking about? But hey, enabling full economic participation. And this is just scratching the surface on what this initiative is all about. And you can see his quote here: an inclusive capitalism that leaves no one behind, that discards none of our brothers and sisters, and it's a notable aspiration worthy of our best efforts. Look, it sounds great that nobody's left behind, but we don't live in heaven, okay? We live in a world that's torn by corruption and sin, and it doesn't ever pan out the way that they've told us. We've had socialist rise, we've had it is socialism, and communist rise, promising similar things, but it always ended up in bondage of the people. But let's dive in a little bit to their mission here. Here's their mission, and this is on the About page if you go to About Us here, but working together to change capitalism. So inclusive capitalism means that they don't want capitalism. They want some different kind of what they're calling capitalism. And I'm going to show you the definition of socialism, and then you can kind of make the idea, if you agree with me, that it's basically socialism with a new name. But here it is, working together to change capitalism for the good, right? They say, our mission is to harness the private sector to create a more inclusive, more sustainable, and trusted economic system. Capitalism lifts people out of poverty and powers global innovation and growth. But to address the changes of the 21st century, capitalism has to adapt. It needs to adapt. Wait, now into what, right? What's it adapting to? Through our commitments, actions, and solutions, we will create a stronger and fairer and more collaborative economies and societies, ultimately improving the lives of countless millions of people across the globe. Really? Is that how it panned out for all the other societies that were promised such things? And I have to say, it's not the case. But moving on a little bit, here's their statement of guiding principles for this inclusive capitalism, aka socialism. Capitalism has delivered wealth and prosperity to billions of people around the world. By the way, capitalism is what got a lot of the people where they are today, making so much money. But there's also the good thing about capitalism. Obviously, I don't want crony capitalism. I want real and good capitalism, is we, the little people, can make money or not. You know, some of us have gone to college, have degrees, and got good jobs, doctors, lawyers, and other things, and been able to make really decent money. And other of us didn't go to college, and we still did good and were able to make money in our industries. That's the beauty, is there's so many different paths that one can take in order to be beneficial in some way. You can start a business, you can fill in the blank, you can work for someone, it doesn't matter. We have the opportunity. And what they're saying here, and when you listen to their lingo, they're basically saying equal income, equal everything, and put everybody at one level, which always ends in a poor class and a rich class. That is where it's end, because there is no such thing as some dystopian heaven on earth where everybody's in a little house with a little yard and we're all singing Kumbaya. That does not exist until we get to heaven, folks. But I go on. And I kind of lost my track, but capitalism's delivered wealth to millions of people around the world. However, we recognize that capitalism must evolve, they say. Evolve into what? And evolve and promote a more sustainable, trusted, equitable, and inclusive system that works for everyone. You know, like systems where businesses are told how many of what color that people are supposed to hire. And this is the kind of thing they're putting forward. Look, let's be blunt. Racism is when you don't judge someone based on the color of the skin. You base them on the merit of who they are and if they can or can't do the job. But these are the kinds of things they're talking about implementing on a massive scale, right? Not only that, but hey, you can make more here if you're this, or less here if you're this. Or we're going to give handouts and benefits to some, but deny it to others. Right? And then one day when we all become socialized and equal in their eyes, they'll start taking away those favors because they have control of society. It doesn't stick around. The money doesn't stay, folks. They give it to you for a little while, and then they take it away. That's why it always ends up bad in socialist communist country. But they go on to make their case. This is important in the days of unprecedented technological advancement, climate disruption, public health crisis, and social unrest. The council recognizes the need for determined actions by its members and others working with them to achieve aspirations for capitalism, not the capitalism that you and I know. But exactly how are they doing this? Well, they go on. The council is committed to action. It seeks real, lasting change for the good. Member organizations, of which they have over 200 some odd member organizations. Let me show you how many they got here. 231 commitments from 28 organizations. So excuse me, I had that wrong. 28 organizations and about 231 commitments. But those member organizations will each take a different approach towards implementing the principles of inclusive capitalism, aka socialism, but I'll get to that. But each commits to promoting sustainable, inclusive, strong, and trusted economies around the world. So what are they doing? Well, if you go and look on their page here on their website, where it tells you what each organization is doing, this is their commitment. It's called the commitment section. You can see the name of the corporation, how they're helping the planet, the principles of government, and what they're going to do personally. You can see all the different things that they're doing at State Street Capital. Here's MasterCard. You can see some of the things that they're doing with energy, some of the things that they're doing with employees and all of that. And the list goes on and on depending on what organization you are. But here's the thing. A lot of these are good on the surface, right? There's good things that we can do with recyclables and all of that here in the country. But again, there is good that when they sell you tyranny, it always comes in a beautiful little package. But just who is part of this global initiative alliance? And take a look here. Here is what they're calling the Guardians. You know, like your guardian angel. Isn't that, downright sound crazy? You see, the Bible tells us about a new world order coming in the latter days, where basically everybody falls under one banner and everybody has to either get the mark of the beast and comply or not. So the Bible doesn't necessarily specify new world order verbatim, but it says we're all under this corrupt system, if you will, and we have to make decisions. Well, this is the kind of thing that this is promoting, which is downright terrifying. But here's some of the people involved. You can see your big bankers here already on the front page. You can see the United Nations. This is Mark Carney. He's the financial advisor to the Prime Minister, the COP26, and the special envoy for climate action and finance there with the UN. He's involved. You can see some other people here. And as we scroll a little bit, more bankers you're seeing along the way. And of course, we have right here the Rockefeller Foundation. The president is involved. And of course, we have a Rothschilds right here who is partnered with this organization. So here we have big bankers, Rothschilds, and Rockefeller Foundation, even United Nations members telling us that we need to spread the wealth and basically form a new form of capitalism. What I hate is the fact is that they are corrupting our words, right? George Orwell had a term for that, double think or double speak or something like that, but they're changing our words. So they're making it as if capitalism, which they're calling inclusive capitalism, is some form of capitalism, but I don't believe that's what it is. Let's go to the Merriam Dictionary and read what capitalism is. An economic system characterized by private or corporate ownership of goods by investments that are determined by private decision, by prices, by product, and by the distribution of goods, mainly by competition in a free market. Capitalism is all about a free market. And basically not big government telling us any and everything to do, and not government being in charge of it, but the free market allowing itself to thrive, where we all have the opportunity to make money. What they seem to be promoting, in my opinion, is more of this, socialism. And let me read to you definition. Any various economic and political theories advocating collective, inclusive, or government ownership and administration of the means of production and distribution of goods, or shall I say, some globalist body who decides the distribution of goods, a system of society or a group of living which ensures no private property. Like nothing belongs to you. We rent it from the government. This is the idea of socialism. A society which the means of production are owned and controlled by the state, which sounds nearly similar to that of capitalism. Let's go to, communism, God, not capitalism, but communism. And here's what communism is defined as, according to Investopedia. Communism is a political and economic ideology that positions itself in opposition to the liberal democracy and capitalism, advocating instead for a classless system in which the means of production are owned communally and private property is not existent and severely curtailed. In other words, just like socialism, it doesn't belong to you. We spread the wealth around in a community style form. Doesn't that sound exactly like what they're talking about on this inclusive capitalism website? You know, because these globalists can be so trusted. Not, right? We have the 1% creating this group to save the world? Really? Give me a break. But here's what I'm talking about. This is the kind of stuff that they're talking about pushing. And I've showed this before on Restricted Republic. By the way, if you're not on Restricted Republic, I have to tell you, you guys really need to get on over here. There's so many videos that we have to share with you guys that are exclusive to Restricted Republic, and you can just see some of them here. But right now, if you buy the yearly, we have $20 off. This is a really good gift to get your family members signed up. And by the way, we have apps. You can get it on your phone, on your iPhone or your Android in the app section under Restricted Republic, and we're also available on Roku. But if you use that code 20 off on the yearly, the annual subscription, it's an amazing deal that we're offering through Christmas. But check it out. And again, you want all the information you can't get anywhere else. You can't get here on YouTube. Gonna get on over to there. But there is where I also talked about this before on the World Economic Forum, 8 predictions for the world in 2020. Why is this important? Because this is exactly where these globalists are headed. And what I want to show you is number 1 here. All products will have become services. In other words, you don't own anything. You don't own a car. You don't own a house. You don't own appliances. You don't own the clothes that you wear, right? So you don't own it all. And you're happy. This is what this is actually saying. And they've got a whole video on it, right? But they say, instead, you rent everything from the government, God, from the globalist dictators at the top. You know, the elite few, you rent it from them and you're happy. That doesn't sound like bliss to me. That sounds like communism, commonwealth, right? Where they decide what's distributed and how it's distributed, and it's for the common good of all. But let me tell you, their definition of what's good for you is not your definition of what's good for you. It's giving you the least amount of everything possible is where it ends up. And once you have this mini utopia, again, they start taking stuff away from you, you know, because the government can't afford it anymore. We don't have those handouts anymore from the people that we made poor. So we got to take, and you just got to suffer. And then we're in bondage forever. Amen. It's the cycle of bondage. But there's other things that they talk about on here. There are other predictions that are also being promoted by the inclusive capitalism, your Rockefellers and all of them. The global price on carbon. They want a price on carbon, give tax on carbon. If you're going to use that car, there should be a penalty, right? Because the whole world is dying. No, it's not. Not anywhere near what they're saying. U.S. dominance is over. The United States dominance is over. This is a prediction for the future. And you know who gets the power? A handful of globalists get the power. They admit it right here. You know, like the New World Order, where there's 10 leaders holding the world and then there's one that rises among them. That's what they're talking about. How do they know we're headed there? Maybe they read the book of Revelation. I don't know. But to sit there and say the U.S. is done, maybe we're done because of all the lockdown measures and policies that they're pumping in America, along with all the exas and constant fear-mongering about COVID from the mainstream media. Right, here we go. 4, farewell hospital, hello to well 3D technology, printing. Then, of course, you're not going to be allowed to eat meat. You're going to eat less meat. God gave us meat for a reason. We need it. And that's all I'm going to say there. And of course, if you want to be, I know I have friends who are vegetarians. If you want to do that, great. If you don't, great. Don't force it on me. Don't force it on anyone. You know, here we have 6 Syrian refugees getting educated here, they're saying, and 7, the values, the traditional Constitution, Bill of Rights, those kind of values that build the West have been tested and broken. Complete destruction of everything that made our country, one of the freest in the world. And finally, they are going to move towards the red planet, you know, take us to Mars or the moon and start moving in that direction. But folks, we're already headed in the direction of socialism. And it was made very clear, I think, in an actual Fox News article. Let me take you there. This is back in 2019, but I think it applies today. And if we take this article and put it in aspect of what's happening today, you can see we've really exploded in that direction. But there are just 9 steps from freedom to socialism to societal breakdown. Again, this was nearly a year ago and it was published on Fox News, or over a year ago. But here it is. 1, massive government spending. Check, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic when all these checks went out, massive spending out of nowhere. Done. 2, massive tax systems that reduce incentives. In other words, we have these tax systems here in America, but the more you make, the more penalized you get. So you don't really have motivation to make more because the government is going to take more. And according to the Democrats and what Joe Biden's talking about, he's talking about if you make a certain percent, that he's going to start taking 60% of your check. What would that do? That would literally stop anyone from those who already make over that from ever being able to reach that goal again, because nobody could go over that 60% mark without quadrupling their money before moving up, right? So it would halt society and halt business in America. Then we have reduced growth leading to economic stagnation. We have that right now. They're literally locking down businesses, telling them they can't go to work. We absolutely have economic stagnation. We have deficits. We have government that prints money all the time. And we have government that fixes prices and declares when goods can be sold. Now, they're still working some on that one, but they've got some of that in the way. And with the COVID-19 pandemic, they were able to do that, with some of the staples. And society saying, well, government has to protect these foods because society isn't doing it themselves. Never let the government have it. And number 7, underground economies rise. The more crushing the taxes and all of that, the larger the underground economy has begun. And then step 8, which we are here now. We weren't there as much then in 2019, but we are now. Class warfare begins, tearing down the fabric of society. The class warfare is always started by the mainstream media. And then, of course, total societal discord. And total societal discord could happen as a result of everything that's going on right now with our election and everything else. It's a sad state of affairs. But when everybody around you is trying to suck your country into socialism, and that's what we do, there's these battles taking place. And I think even spiritual battles that are taking place in the heavenlies and here, we have and I don't mean physical battles. I mean battles of, brainwashing, propaganda, censoring information, removing information, putting ideas in our curriculums and all of it together. We're bombarded, but we got to break through it, and we got to continue to break through it and expose what socialism is truly about, because it is tearing the very fabric of our society, and it is exactly, unfortunately, where we are headed. And now is the time to start waking people up to that. Anyhow, please don't forget to get on over to Restricted Republic. I can't tell you guys how important that is. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning into the channel. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.